My name is Fern Hames and I'm the Victorian Coordinator for the Native Fish Strategy. For many people, they know me as the Fish Lady. And I happily wear that mantle. It's been okay. I guess I've become the Fish Lady. I've been the coordinator for 6 years and it's certainly one of the best things I've ever done. I love it. Well, I've always felt that the Native Fish Strategy kind of has 3 pillars. And I've been very much involved in all of those pillars. So there's research, partnerships and action. So in terms of the research, I've been lucky enough to be directly involved in some of the scientific surveys that we've done. And I get such a buzz out of that. And I think it gives credibility to a lot of the other work that I do. It gives me a much deeper understanding of how the Native Fish Strategy works and what's really happening for native fish in Victoria and certainly around the basin. So for example, right now we're at Tabilk Lagoon and I'd love to tell you about some work that we did here. We were radio tagging and tracking catfish to see how they move around the lagoon, particularly at this time of day, because catfish kind of have daytime places that they like to be and nighttime places that they like to be. Now's the time they start to move. So we camped here for, round the clock for 4 days just before Christmas. It was hellishly hot. And for hours at a time, we took turns tracking these catfish. So we got to know not only the catfish individually, but it connected us so much with this place and space. We got to hear how the soundscape changes over the day and night. The cicadas in the day, the frogs at night. We got to see night herons stepping across a log. We got to really learn about Tabilk Lagoon and what it really is and how the catfish are just part of it. And that's very much what the Native Fish Strategy is about. It sounds like it's about fish, and it is, but the fish are an indicator for these fantastic ecosystems that we work in. In terms of partnerships, I think this is one of the strongest elements of the Native Fish Strategy, and it's what I will really take away with me as an enduring legacy of the Native Fish Strategy. We've developed so many partnerships with Aboriginal communities, with landholders, with landcare groups, with catchment management authorities, with local government, with recreational fishers, with conservation groups, so many different stakeholders who also care about fish and rivers and places like this. And we've developed real partnerships where we've developed a sense of common ground. What is it that we all do agree on and want to support and want to see happen, a shared vision? We've developed that shared vision and got clear objectives of how we're going to work towards it. And it's a very energising and empowering thing for all of us. For the Native Fish Strategy, it's really exciting because we see that other people share the same objectives as us and we want to work on it together. And it's empowering for others who get to take action on ground in their patch. And that's where the action bit comes in. So I've also been involved in enabling and empowering people to deliver action in their patch that support the things that they love about that part of country. I've been able to see changes as well. Not only the fish coming back, which is so exciting, but shifts in, you can actually see riparian vegetation repairing. You can see, aquatic plants being removed. You can see things improving in these places, and that's really exciting. So that's a long answer to a question of what have I been doing, but I've been involved in the research. I've been forming great partnerships with a whole range of different people and working with them to deliver on-ground action that has genuine benefits for fish, for rivers, and for special places that are special to people in that country. I think one of my favourite things is seeing empowerment in people, where people have had, people know what's right for rivers. We intuitively know this stuff. But we can bring scientific rigour and learning to the table, along with traditional ecological knowledge, all kinds of different ways of knowing place and space, and people's oral histories and stories as well. And together we build a picture of what this place is and was. And we can add all that into people's understanding of place, and they will then go, oh, I get it now. I know what I need to do. And they then go ahead and deliver on-ground actions for which we then get to see immediate benefits. They get to see immediate benefits, and that then becomes embedded behavioural change. And then we get long-term advocacy for all of these things. For example, there was a landholder who was gradually becoming used to our ideas and quite liked it and was fairly interested in looking after his property. But he became more and more interested and more passionate about riparian vegetation and looking after the creek for Macquarie perch actually. And then we had some new people come and join the group, and they were very supportive of willows. And I went to open my mouth and say, oh, but willows, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be silent. And I waited, and the first landholder spoke up, strong and clear and confident, and spoke really clearly about the issues with willows in our waterways. And I certainly couldn't have said it any better myself, and it came out so much better from a neighbour to a neighbour, and I could see the influence that truly meant. This was true empowerment, this was true influence, and this is something that will be there long after the NFS is gone, long after government has been involved. And this is what I think has been one of a highlight for me in terms of our legacy, that we have passed on information and we've done it in a way that people have taken it on themselves. They've learnt it themselves. It's become their own knowledge, and it's changed their own behaviour, and that is in turn changing the behaviour of their neighbours and their own circle of influence. And that's the magic and influence and wonderful thing about the NFS for me. In thinking about the native fish strategy for the future, obviously the empowerment and the long-term advocacy that we've established is really important. But to keep that happening, it needs a role by others to play as well. And we've just spent a couple of days here talking about the NFS and what its legacy is, and almost everybody has mentioned the people who are involved. And there are so many people who've been involved in the native fish strategy. And we're passionate about the native fish strategy because we really care about it, and the issues and the objectives of the native fish strategy are written into our DNA. They're part of who we are. They're in our hearts. So it's not something that will stop just because the native fish strategy stops. We will continue to be people who care about those things and implement the objectives into everything else that we do. So it will live on in us, and I genuinely hope that we remain connected. I think that we will, because the people who are involved in this care enough that we will, and we care enough about each other. We don't just care enough about the rivers and the fish, we care about each other, and as much as we care about flows and connectivity in rivers, we care about connectivity amongst ourselves as well, and so we'll keep connected.